Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is once again turning up the pressure on Senator Mitch McConnell to prove he's still capable of effectively representing his Kentucky constituents. It has been more than 2 months since the American people have seen the 84-year-old former Senate Majority Leader in public. Here's Governor Beshear just yesterday.
His response to all this is absolutely unacceptable. If he can call and have a 17-minute conversation with Scott Jennings, he can have a 2-minute conversation with you. That's one of the reasons that these conspiracies are out there, because it's an absolute refusal to communicate with the public.
The last statement we have, August 6th on Facebook, when he was leaving the hospital and saying he was going to continue his physical therapy at home. But really, don't the American people deserve some proof of life? Don't the Kentucky taxpayers who are paying his salary deserve to have some acknowledgement of what his condition is and that he can appropriately weigh in on their behalf in the Senate?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I always like to remind people that while Mitch McConnell has been missing, he's been getting paid. Okay, there is no paid leave in the United States Senate, but maybe they should talk about. Come on, where are Republican friends at? This is actually insane. Do I believe that Senator McConnell should get the care that he needs? Yes, I do. Do I wish him well? Yes, I do. But you are not entitled to a Senate seat, and you damn sure are not entitled to just not tell anybody, the people who you work for, where you are. I promise you, if I went missing for 2 months, I would not have a job and I would not be paid. Antonia Hilton would be sitting up in this seat, okay? To be very clear, this is not all right. So there are real questions. Does he have the capacity to serve? Is he knowledgeable about what is going on? Is he coherent? Somebody who shall remain nameless said, at this point, they should just go through the man's trash. Like, I need the people in Kentucky, the reporters, to get a little gully with what's going on.
Look at the timeline. June 11th was his last in-person Senate vote. June 14th, he was admitted to the hospital. And this is where you have a conversation about what is raw power here in the year of 2026. And I get that they want to be able to have him be able to vote, but can he even vote in the scenario that he would need to vote, because we haven't seen him otherwise. And at some point, part of governance is more than just voting, but it's also representation of your constituency. And I know that he's got a staff on board ready to do. Other people have gone through tragedies, but at some point there has to be a reckoning.
And voters didn't put staff in office. And that's the important point. They put Senator McConnell in office. And I have all the sympathy in the world for his condition. But I also know that when men and women reach a certain age, their families have to start intervening. And it is at that point where we deserve an answer, the American public.
And it's not the fault of journalists for asking either. That's their role.
I mean, I'm sorry. When Lloyd Austin, when he was the Secretary of Defense, there was a media frenzy about where he was and what happened to him. And he had to do a whole press conference when he came back to work after having prostate cancer. Senator McConnell needs to speak up, because is he even making the decision?